What's up, Aaron? What's up, folks? Sorry, this is Tony and Aaron from Christianity Now. We have a show planned for you today. We've, got notes and everything. It's going to be good. Christianity Now, Sons of Issachar. Aaron, I'm right back to being orange.
Yeah. What's going
Whatever
on?
changes I made, I don't know.
You're the orange man today.
I am the orange man. The orange man bad. How do we do this? Has it changed any?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It changed a lot there.
Oh, I now look black. I'm almost
Yeah,
in
you
black
almost
and
look.
white.
Yeah, almost black and white.
Let me get back. We're going to leave it right there.
There you go.
In fact, let me hit it save.
Is that just adjustments on Restream? Or-
No, it's adjustments on the Elgato face cam.
Oh, okay.
I've got third party program.
Yeah.
And I noticed, first off, I don't know what's going on. When I watch our show back on YouTube, or when I watch my show back on, like when I'm doing it by myself,
Yeah.
I look plumb fuzzy. It hadn't always been like that. This Elgato face cam, it's got that big old lens,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really good camera for live streaming and stuff, and it's so inexpensive.
Yep.
But it's a powerhouse. It's just I've got it messed up. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Gotta keep tinkering with it, maybe.
Yep. Yeah, yours looks really good, probably because you don't mess with it.
Yeah, I haven't, and I've got the same. Well, I know I've got an Elgato camera. I don't know if the same model.
It's the same. It's the exact same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a two of a kind. My problem is I've got a 4-foot neon bulb, not an incandescent, fluorescent is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I got a 4-foot fluorescent bulb light right above my head.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what I do. The best thing to do, if I could get some studio lights with the white diffusers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I could put a couple or three in spots, and then cut this off altogether,
Yeah.
and it would be better. But anyway,
Anybody
We'll
wants to
cross it.
donate toward it, they can.
that's right. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we're streaming. We're on YouTube and a bunch of other places. I've been doing a little bit of stuff on Facebook to try to see if we can get out of our Facebook purgatory, because that's what I feel like we're in.
I noticed yesterday or the day before. It's this week.
Yep.
I went to the search bar on Facebook, and we did come up before I hit enter.
That's good.
That's the first time I've noticed that. I meant to tell you that, but that's the first time I've noticed that in a while, a long while.
You remember that? You remember that message I sent you the other day with the screenshot of my notifications?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Finally, on my personal profile, like I've added about 20 or 30 new followers. Like my personal profile is set to like a professional profile.
Yeah. Creator or whatever.
Something like
creator.
that. Yeah. And then, but I mean, it was dead. I mean, nothing. It would only show my post to like a very, 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 very small amount of my friends and followers.
Yeah.
Now there's two things I've noticed. I've whatever I've done in the last week, I think is Facebook is like, well, we're going to bring you forward, because we've got a little bit of organic action on the Christianity Now page, and I noticed that I shared a couple of things that I didn't boost. And now when I say boosting, we're talking about boosting single post for dollars, we're not talking about big ad campaigns, okay?
Yep.
We're talking about just boosting it for a few dollars just to give it a little bump. But now I noticed that in the last couple of days, I've shared a couple of posts, and lo and behold, they've had some interaction from people that are not on my friends list or not following me.
Yeah.
That lets me know that Facebook is like, whatever we're doing, something's working and we're getting back.
Yeah. That's good.
But that we had to have been shadow banned or throttled or something before.
I know just in the last couple of weeks since I've been using the admin, with the page.
Yeah.
That I sent, like when people would like something, I went on there and sent them an invite to like it. and
Yes.
it seemed like I didn't notice anybody accepting it. And
That,
maybe just in the last couple of days, what you're talking about, some of them, I don't
yeah.
know. Anyhow,
Well, that's the thing. So you've got to understand it's got to be scale. Like if we had a $10,000, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm actually meaning this number to be a hard number. If we had a $10,000 a month budget, like that's where like Daily Wire. Okay,
yeah,
think of the Daily Wire.
yep,
Why do they grow like they do? They put out content that is contrary to the current culture. It's because they do get a lot of engagement, but the reason Facebook and YouTube and all these social media platforms show their stuff to people is because they pay for the algorithm.
yeah,
Now there's some of it there that's organic, like,
yeah,
but they wouldn't have near the followers if they weren't putting any money into
that's the way,
advertisement or
that's the way
boosting on
Facebook
Facebook.
plays. Yeah,
Yes. So yeah, if we had I don't. If we had, it would be awesome if some benefactor said, you know what, we like what you guys are doing, and we can't do it in perpetuity, but we'll give you 1 year.
mm-hmm.
And so here's $12,000. This is a $1,000 a month budget, and it must go only to advertising, like boosting your posts and stuff in the algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you'd see a
We'd
big
have,
change.
yeah, I guarantee you with that we'd probably have $500,000 or 500,000 followers at the end of
Yeah,
that year.
yeah,
I bet you we'd get that it very quickly would get that 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
yeah.
You know,
That'd be sweet.
our content is never going to be national. I don't think you and I, either one, are ever going to have the time and attention to give it,
Yeah.
to grow it like that.
Yeah,
But with what me and Aaron do and the level of work that we put in it, and I'm just going to be quite frank, the more reward that we get for our labors, the easier it will be to sacrifice of our time and energy and put more money or more effort into it. But with what we're doing now, there's no reason that if we had some help with the algorithm, we've got a good enough show that we could easily have a few hundred live streamers with us, or a few hundred watchers on the live stream, and get several hundred to a few thousand views per, like, 5, 10, 15-minute video that we decide to release. So honestly, two people with a YouTube channel and a platform that size can actually make a living.
yeah,
Now, we won't be driving Bugattis or
Yeah.
Bentleys, but we'll be driving a pretty decent Ford F-150.
yeah.
you know. But anyway, I want to talk about, Aaron, today, deconstructing Christianity. I don't even know where my comment section is. Hold on.
Yeah, I got to pull mine up too. I didn't even have it up.
Sorry, everybody.
There we go.
I've got real good excuses if y'all want to hear them. If not, let's get on with the show. So I wanted to go to the comment section. We're not going to exclusively focus on the comment section because I do have some material that I want to disseminate. But let's start with the comment section, because the reason that we got the article that we got today, and the reason we're getting the show we got today, is because of John Exum. One of his posts come across my timeline on a group that we're both in together, and he was getting feedback about deconstructing faith or deconstructing Christianity. John, would you copy and paste in the comment section so I can let everybody else know what is this book that Brad Harab? No, not the book. I believe we're talking about two different things with Brad Harab. Brad Harab's in Harding, Arkansas right now. In Harding, Arkansas, or
Cersei,
Hardy?
I guess.
Wait a second.
Cersei's
Harding
where
University
Yeah,
is in
Cersei.
Hardy.
No,
Is that right?
Hardy's a fishing town up north of Jonesboro.
Oh,
Yeah.
Harding.
Harding is the university, and Cersei.
Cersei is the city.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've slept since I've been in Arkansas,
Yeah.
folks. But anyway, Brad Harab is in Searcy, Arkansas right now at Judsonia, and he's speaking, and he's going to be delivering a message either tonight or he did it last night. I can't remember,
Yeah.
about this book that Harding uses for a textbook from Genesis that teaches the day-age theory, I believe. Don't get me wrong.
Some type of theistic
Some
evolution.
type of or
Yeah.
theistic evolution.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think
don't
it's
know.
yeah. I think it's theistic evolution.
That's the one, John. Thank you very much. I'm going to get this book. My daughter gave me a pile of Kindle gift cards for my birthday,
Oh yeah.
so I'm going to get this book. Gaslighted by God by Tiffany Brooks Yiki or Yichi. Anyway,
I just looked it up. I see it. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna read the book. I'm very interested in what she has to say. But I will tell you anyway. Before let me get this finished. Let me get this thought finished. Basically, deconstructing. Like, think about you ever gone into a restaurant and had a deconstructed roast beef sandwich? It's just two pieces of bread, some mashed potatoes, and some roast beef on a plate.
Okay. Yeah.
You got it? That's a
Yeah.
deconstructed roast beef
Simple
sandwich.
enough.
Well, that's like if you go to the restaurant and you order hamburger steak. Do you remember ordering hamburger steak whenever? I remember it was kind of I knew that I was growing up a little bit whenever I moved from like kid food.
Yeah.
Whenever my parents took me out to eat, we all went out to eat, and I got to get the hamburger steak.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the
like
hamburger steak is just a deconstructed hamburger. Because what do you have? You've got on the plate. You've got a hamburger. You've got some bread for your meal, and you know what I mean. Like it's all the elements of a hamburger there.
Right.
Well, that's what these people are doing with their faith, Christianity. And I think the foundation, the intent is good. But like everything with that begins with good intentions, that has a foundation of good, unchecked, it leads to bad really, really quick. It's kind of like the law of unintended consequences. Brad is discussing the book by John H. Walton that promotes theistic evolution. That's the book that's used as a textbook at Harding. Yes, I was aware of that. It's the other one, and Brad Harab is also. I want to say Brad Harab has also addressed this gaslighted by God, but if he hasn't,
he addressed. He said that woman spoke/taught in the gender mixed chapel at Harding, that just recently in the last week or so.
Thank you.
And
yes,
he was talking about that and the biblical problems with that.
Can't play without a partner, folks.
Yeah.
What's up, Brandon? Brandon Myers. I'm so glad you tuned in. I am so socially awkward sometimes. I saw the picture that you put on Facebook with you and your sweet wife whenever you said we voted. I chose not to do it because people get silly on Facebook, but I was going to post that, boy, you've and affectionately, I would say if I was picking on Aaron, I'd say, boy, what are you doing? Not that I think he's a boy. Anyway, boy, you've gotten old. I don't recognize you. You've aged.
Yeah.
But people get funny on Facebook, and I had something else clever to say that I forgot. It was clearly to be a joke, but yeah, man, it's if you'll remember exactly the way you looked whenever you were in your first year at Memphis School of Preaching, I was in my second. That's every time I think of you, that's the way I picture you, and you look like a grown man.
We changed a little, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember how old he was. He was very, very young. To be fair, that's not too bad. At least I don't look 13 anymore. Ha ha. And that's the thing. He looked like a very little kid. And when I say that's not true, I need to be careful of my words and how they come across. It's the way he said it. He looked like a 13-year-old. He looked like he didn't belong.
Cheyenne recently saw some pictures, I think, when I was in school, and she's seen them before, but she just made a comment this time like, Dad, you didn't. It was only like 11 years ago.
I know.
She was like, you look different, or I forgot the word she said, But your face looks. I was like, yeah,
I know.
more gray and more gray here.
Yep. I'll tell you a funny story. We'll get back to the podcast. One of my good friends, Brandon Greaves, his daughter, Livy. Livy or Libby? Now, no, it's Livy. Sorry. It's so because it's Olivia. Anyway, they call her Livy. Livy Lou. And so after I graduated, I had some stuff to do in Memphis, and I thought I'd swing by and see Brandon while I was there. And it was just me. I was by myself. And I knocked on the door, and oh, that stinks. Ted Hook Knight said, no one from Harding is going to hear Brad. And he says he is home. God bless. I'm glad you're home, Ted. But anyway, in school, Brother Mosier did not like the fact that I shaved my head. And I lathered it up and I shaved it with a straight razor. Now, there's nothing in the rules against having a shaved head. But Brother Mosier didn't like it. So I grew my hair out. Wasn't no skin off my back. I just had to use a little extra soap in the shower. But so only Brandon's kids only ever saw me with a head of hair. Well, when I graduated, the first thing I did was stop shaving my chin and start shaving my head.
Right, because when we were in school, you couldn't do
You couldn't have a beard.
No. Back in the olden days, man.
Yeah, before Memphis School of Preaching went liberal, we started letting people have hair on their face. You know what? I bet they still. I bet they let you. I bet they've gone so far off they let you wear shorts on campus now.
Hey, yeah, when you speak, you can wear dress khaki.
Yeah, that's
shorts.
right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Hey, wouldn't that be deconstruction?
That would be deconstruction. Yeah, Memphis School of Preaching.
The whole hair on the chin.
I guarantee it. But I knocked on the door, and Brandon's wife, one of the kids answered, and Brandon's wife was there, but Brandon wasn't. So I thought that was
you don't
hilarious.
look good without a hat.
I don't know if that's what she meant or not.
Yeah.
But I know the minute when I took that hat off and showed her, she just had this look on it, and she goes, "You look good with that hat on."
How old was she? Oh, that was the wife, wasn't it?
No, that was Livy.
The daughter?
That was the little girl.
Yeah, how old was she?
Oh, she couldn't. I mean, she wasn't. She's about as tall as my waist or belly button. However, I don't know why you'd have to. I mean, of course, it was almost 10 years ago. Now. No, it wasn't. Oh, it almost was.
Yeah.
I graduated in 2015.
15, yeah.
25 will be 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Time flies, man.
Yeah, that means Livy is pretty much a grown.
I know these kids are these classmates we had. They're so much changes in a person's life from the time they're 7, 8, 10 years old, and you 10 years, 15 years later, and they're an adult.
Crazy. All right. Now let's get back into the show. Brandon Myers says, I've seen a lot of these deconstruction shorts on YouTube. These ADH Fuel shorts aren't good platforms for deep topics of that nature. No, they are not. It's 100% agreement.
Yeah.
John, thank you for sharing Brad's. I'm just going to put it on the screen. Nobody will be able to read it, but if you notice, I got receipts.
And the one before that, he mentioned Brad got a lot of flack for going against Harding's decision of allowing that false teacher to speak.
Let me tell you,
crazy.
It makes me so mad. Ever since when I graduated school, I called Harding because I've told it on the show before. I called Church of Christ Disaster Relief. Like all of these things that I was told when I graduated, I got on the phone. You'd be surprised what people will tell you if you just ask.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I found to be true and credible, and others, no, there's ain't nothing to this.
Yeah.
I called Harding, and I talked to Monty Cox. Monty Cox promised me that if I send my children to Harding, he would teach them how to cooperate with the Holy Spirit that lives inside of them, And if I taught a gospel where the only help you have in times of trouble is to remember the Word of God, and the only comfort that you have is the Word of God, I am teaching an impotent gospel with no promise nor power of help from the Holy Spirit.
Oh, man. Womp womp.
Now, that latter is worse than the first, but the first is bad enough, because what's the implication of, Aaron, I'm going to teach you how to cooperate with the Holy Ghost that lives inside of you? That cooperate, the key part of that word is operate.
Yeah.
That means, Monty Cox, if the only thing that I knew was that, I would know that Monty Cox, I don't know if he still is, but he was the dean of the Bible department.
Yeah, I was trying to look him up online right now.
At Harding. And
RateMyProfessors.com says he's a professor in the religion department, but I was trying to find something for the school.
At the time, I want to be very careful because I don't want to be speaking out of school. At the time, he was the dean. And
it says on there, it's harding.edu, it says he's dean of the college.
Yeah, Monty Cox is the
Ministry.
Bible chair. Yeah, okay. So Matt, I know you're not Matthew. Matt, is that does that mean he's the dean? Am I saying that right?
It's on their website right here. It says Dean of the College of Bible and Ministry.
Good. Okay. So you got the receipt.
Yep.
Yeah. So Monty Cox, if the only thing I knew of him was that he promised to teach my children how to cooperate with the Holy Spirit that lives inside of him, that would be enough for me to know that he is a false teacher. And I would never send my children to Harding University and let them deal with the Bible department.
Right.
Ever. Because, well, you can arm your children. Well, think about this. That's it. He's the guy in charge without being in charge. That's exactly it. That's what people need to understand. I guarantee you, so goes Monty Cox. So goes the Bible department. I understand that you've got people in that department that don't believe what he believes, and it's not a monolith. Doesn't matter. It's kind of like the Democratic Party. You've got the core tenets that bind everyone together, and even if you don't 100% agree with everything, you're in fellowship with them. Yes, the Downtown Church of Christ, which incidentally allows for women to lead.
And worship, and et cetera. The gender mixed assembly.
And not a small amount of the elders currently serving at the Downtown Church of Christ believe that it would be okay and permissible by God to have elders, deacons, and preachers and Bible teachers who are also women. But they couldn't get unity on that, so they just said that we can allow women to, serve and read scripture and stuff like that.
How come on the Harding thing it says under the about him, it tells his degree, and then it says area, and it says culture, missions, world religions, postmodernism. So I guess these are his specialties.
That's his specialties. That lets you know a lot. Postmodernism. That's, postmodernism. Well, let me just put it like this. A really good sandwich on a really good sandwich on like a ciabatta bun with some horseradish and some maybe some mustard even. I like spice. Put that roast beef on it, some cheese and cheddar. Oh, it's so good. That is reality. That's art. But if I take roast beef and get a roll and get some mashed potatoes, well, that's postmodernism. That's deconstruction. It's not what it is anymore. You deconstruct it, you change it to something else.
Right.
That's what they teach these days, but they think it's all positive. Absolutely. And he's the authority of the Harding Bible Department. Yes. I mean, well, and here's the thing, John Exum. I agree with your statement, but I just want to let people know we understand that in truth, he's not the king of Harding, or his word isn't necessarily law. But he was put in that position by his peers for a reason. And if you think that he doesn't have sway or influence over the rest of the Bible department, you're a little bit naive.
Yeah.
And not you, John, but just anybody listening is what I mean. But yeah, it makes me angry because for years, this was almost 10 years ago now that I talked to him. He just told me all I had to do is ask.
Yeah.
And I tried to tell other people.
Oh,
that was a mistake.
You're mean. You're a bad guy.
Yes. I'm meddling.
You're jealous.
I'm jealous. Yeah.
You're jealous.
Yeah. All that stuff. I'm just like, but the man said it. He also wouldn't simply affirm that the Church of Christ is not a denomination. It took him 30 minutes to say this. Well, we are the closest to first century Christianity that you can find today. And I'm like, 1 Timothy 1:7.
Yeah.
Do you not understand what you're saying by what you affirm, or what you're affirming by what you say?
Yep.
Are you not understanding that if we're the closest to the pattern, that we are not the pattern? Therefore, we're damned.
Yep.
We have tried to serve the Lord in vain.
Yep.
Just think a little bit, man. You're supposed to be a professor.
Yeah. When you speak out and you stand for what's right, you're called the troubler. I was thinking last night about Elijah in 1 Kings 18.
Yes, sir.
It was Ahab that was deviating from God's will.
Yep.
And he called the truth preacher the troubler of the nation.
Yep.
And Elijah fired right back and said, "Nope, it ain't me. It's you.
That's
you."
Well, we beat this.
And then he mocked their gods publicly.
I know, maybe these in the bathroom.
Today, if you mock a false position, people call you mean.
Yes.
And ugly and unnecessary. It's like, no, these things are damning people's souls.
Yep.
What can shake a person's mind is to see that position ridiculed.
That's it.
But if you just get there, don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. You can consider this, and it's like, no, these are causing people to err and be in sin.
And quite frankly, being ridiculed is one of the weapons of the masses to strike down would-be tyrants and people that would harm our society.
Yep.
There are things.
Yep.
That you would be maybe held from doing or held from talking about, not because you're scared of pain, not because you're scared of a tongue lashing, but because you're scared of being ostracized.
Yeah.
I need to know ostracization.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
I was trying to wonder. Yeah, trying to think
sound like I got a mouthful of marbles. But anyway, being ostracized and being ridiculed, that is society's tool to keep people on the fringe from shifting the middle.
Yeah.
There's an Overton window, and you can look this up, but that's being ostracized and being ridiculed keep people in check.
It obviously has its proper place and its proper use.
And Jesus participated in that. Jesus ridiculed Herod.
He did.
And we talked about, I believe we talked about that last week.
Time we mentioned about him calling him a fox and what he intended to do.
But this Matt here, that's exactly the experience I had with Monty Cox. Monty Cox was quick to very gently and kindly. These things are what I believe. I don't speak for anybody else at the Harding Bible Department.
So he never speaks what he believes or has any influence on who's hired or fired,
according to him.
Huh. Wow. I didn't know
that points to his
like that.
That points to his character.
Yep.
I know a lot of Baptist preachers that are upstanding, honest, good. What do we decide? We don't say good because of the definition. Morally upstanding? We come up with you came up with something.
Just decent folks, decent human beings.
Decent folks.
They're.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're just wrong doctrinally.
Yeah.
they're wrong doctrinally.
No,
they need help.
no obvious sign of dishonesty.
But no obvious sign. You call them up
honest.
and talk to them. As long as you front load and say, hey, look, I'm a member of the Church of Christ, and I believe we are fundamentally opposed to one another, and I believe that one of us is going to spend an eternity in heaven and one of us is going to spend an eternity in hell. I have questions about your doctrine. I've never had a bad conversation after that.
Yeah.
Whenever Brock debated the guy from the United Pentecostal Church International, I called a few because I wanted to see, is this a monolith or are we dealing with a fringe? And I made several phone calls to different congregations.
And you were treated well, weren't you, overall?
I was treated very well. Yeah. And I told them, I don't believe in the direct operation of the Holy Ghost. I believe in the cessation of miracles. I don't even believe that God does miracles today.
Yeah.
And I teach it pretty strongly from God's Word. And I define a miracle as a supersession of natural law.
Yep.
Scientists would call it a violation of the laws of physics, like matter coming into existence from nothing, or life from non-life. That would be a miracle. Childbirth is not a miracle. You falling out of an airplane and bouncing instead of dying is not a miracle. Like it's happened naturally before, so it can happen naturally again despite the odds against it.
Yeah.
Now, if you fell from like 35,000 feet and survived, that would be a miracle. That'd be undeniable. But you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where to go from this.
Greg James said there are religions that use this type of ridicule as a badge of honor, and I don't know maybe exactly to what he's saying, but ridicule really is like, it's just a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are false religions that use ridicule.
But that's the thing that I agree. I'm trying to process that.
Me too.
From which perspective?
Yes.
Like the false religions, or there are religions that when they are ridiculed, they say you're ridiculing us.
Yeah.
And that shows that we're set apart and right.
Yes, and that may be
like
what
they wear that as a badge of honor.
I know it happens, even if that's not what he had in mind. I know that happens.
But the flip side is there are religions that ridicule other people, and they consider it an honor to ridicule other people.
Right.
Which one do you mean, Greg? Both of them work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good comment, though.
It's not an honor to ridicule people, but it's an honor to teach the truth. And ridicule. Ridicule. I mean, that again, we could define term. I'd have to look up, but we're talking about like with Jesus saying, "Go tell that fox Herod."
Yes.
I
feel like there were some.
Yeah, Brandon Meyer said Jehovah's Witnesses do that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When he says that, I'm so sorry, because whenever Brandon commented that, I was in the process of talking about both sides of that. The Jehovah's Witnesses, do they ridicule, or do they wear ridicule as a badge of honor? Like, yeah, go ahead and ridicule us, but that just shows that look at what Matthew chapter 5 says about when all men hate you.
From my experience, I feel like Mormons do that latter.
Mormons do that. Yeah,
they don't care if you make fun of them. They don't care if you tease about the Book of Mormon. He says they wear.
Yeah, okay. And that makes sense. And I believe you're right.
Both of them are saying the same thing, aren't they? They wear that as a type of badge.
Yep. I know Jehovah's Witnesses wear this type of badge, and hold on. Jehovah's Witnesses wear ridicule. Yeah.
And again, what side of the truth are you on? There's a Jesus said, "Blessed are you when you're ridiculed," and all that,
Right.
As long as you're teaching the truth, it is a form of honor. It is a badge of honor. You're in good company.
And that grudgingly you'd have to then. I mean, I have more. There's not a lot of respect except for the respect that one is given as a fellow human being. But when I say I have very little respect for false teachers and false. I got a lot of compassion, but I don't like it whenever people say, well, they're wrong, but you got to respect the Mormons because 1, 2, 3. I understand what they mean. I just hate making the concession, because look at how many people are going to spend an eternity in hell, because those people are out there just taking souls.
Yeah.
They compass land and sea and make people twofold more a child of hell than themselves.
Probably the word respect that's hitting you in the,
It's an issue with me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody that's ever said that is terrible or wrong, but my point is using the term accommodatively.
I think the way I can see it is they don't do, not everything they do is wrong. I think that's the way I can see it. Not everything they do is wrong. There's some things they're doing right.
Using the word respect accommodatively.
Yeah.
I have more respect and I trust the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons more than I respect and trust Monty Cox and anybody in the Bible department at Harding.
Yeah.
Because I found Monty Cox to be duplicitous and a snake in the grass. That is from my personal experience.
Yeah.
Okay? If I'm telling you that's not hearsay, if you repeat it, that's hearsay. We need to get that straight. This is not, you're not hearing hearsay. I'm bearing witness.
Yeah.
If you repeat it as if it's true, like you've done my legwork, you're gossiping and you are participating in hearsay.
Well, people love to repeat things they've heard.
I know it. Anyway, on the other hand, I was told today by a cowboy church pastor that the churches of Christ can't be right because they are dying. God would bless us more if we were right. That fella needs to read about the righteous remnant. And there's this one fella, and it's somehow when I read every time he's speaking, those words are read. And he said something about a narrow gate and a narrow way.
Yeah.
And not only is it narrow, and not only is it hid behind a gate, but few will find it.
Yep.
And then there's a wide way and a wide gate, and many will find it.
Yep.
So, yes, it is true. In any city, the local church that belongs to Jesus, probably not going to be the big one on the hill. You know? It could be, but probably not.
Listen to Luke 13:22 and following. He went through the cities and villages teaching and journeying toward Jerusalem. Then one said to him, Lord, are there few who are saved? He could have just said, No. It ain't few saved. It's a bunch saved.
That's it.
He said, strive to enter through the narrow gate. For many, I say to you, will seek to enter and will not be able. That's few there are that find it. I mean, there's Matthew 7:13-14. That's straight. I mean,
yeah,
it's not hard.
Brandon says, I asked him why thousands of people left Jesus. Let me get this comment by John, and then for the next little bit, I've got, Aaron, I got something to disseminate that you don't know anything about.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Rhett and Link from this show on YouTube called Good Mythical Morning.
Go ahead.
All right. Let me read this from an example of deconstruction is when an eldership announces a restudying of an issue, women's roles, instruments of music, etc., and after they study, they conclude the opposite of what Scripture teaches. An announcement typically is, we have studied this issue for the last X months, and the Spirit has led us to conclude, ... Yeah, that's...
So the Spirit led them in direct contradiction to what the Spirit revealed in the written word.
Well, you'd think that way because you're not enlightened. If you had the Spirit, obviously you'd understand.
That's what it turns into.
Yes.
Gnosticism.
Yes.
Basically.
Brandon says he's heard of Rhett and Link. Yeah, the reason I know about Rhett and Link is because of Anthony and Abigail. They watch Good Mythical Morning. In fact, let me get this from Matt. Generally, the restudying is a shot across the bow to the conservatives in a congregation to look for another place to worship. Hush your mouth. You ain't never said a lie.
Yeah, and I'll add to it, just to that as well. The restudying is also just we consulted people that already agreed with us.
Oh, yes, that's it.
We consulted some of the members that already wanted this. we consulted some commentaries. Oh, and we found somebody back in the 1800s that was supposedly part of the so-called Restoration movement. And see, that means all along the Lord's churches believes this. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
J.W. McGarvey back in 1902. And did you know that about J.W. McGarvey? Do you know that? Did you know that? If you know, it's like,
I mean, Alexander Campbell.
Oh, I don't know what he believed and disbelieved. Well, he wrote it. It's on this website. It's in this book. And, okay. I want to know what the gospel says, not J.W. McGarvey, rest his soul. He's not even here to defend himself. Neither is Campbell.
Read that comment from Matt there, Matt.
And usually those members who agree are coincidentally the ones with the money. Yeah.
That ain't true.
No.
That's not right.
Conspiracy theorist, Matthew.
I know.
Sarcasm.
Get your tinfoil hat off your head.
Yeah, for real.
That can't be true. It couldn't be.
No,
that in a group of people,
it's the poor members that get what they want.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are eating the church pantry every week, you know.
Yeah.
It's the ones that their body odor smells because they're struggling financially. That's the ones that get to make the decisions. Sarcasm.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
me.
it. All right. So this is Good Mythical. What? Good Mythical Evening. Anyway, this is Good Mythical Morning's Facebook page. You see written link there. I wonder. Can y'all see that now better?
Pretty small, but I can see it. Two guys sitting there. About all I can see.
Yeah, there's really nothing. I want to. So this is. Here's a good. Now look at the 18.9 million subscribers.
Wow.
3.8. So they got 3,800 and something videos on their YouTube channel. Tune in Monday through Friday to watch us eat truly unbelievable things, explore surprising new products and trends, compete in original games with celebrity guests, implement serious experiments. Aaron, it's very entertaining.
We need to start eating food on the show, man. That sounds good. I'm hungry now.
Ain't that the truth? Hey, look, I'm gonna open this video. Hold on. How do I play this video? Okay. So y'all see that microphone there?
Yeah.
That microphone is made by Blue, and it's a Blue mouse. It's a really good microphone. I really love the sound. I've bought too many expensive microphones in my life. I'll never make enough money until the day I die to buy another expensive microphone. But if anybody wants to, buy an expensive microphone and send it to Canada, get a Blue mouse. Anyway, but you see them there. I mean, I'm curious.
I think it looks worse on you.
Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That at least now I know that I can watch videos on YouTube and react to them through. Why don't I have control? I don't have any control. Why don't I have control? Oh well. So we're gonna shut this down. We're gonna stop sharing.
We restudied it. Sorry, I'm still
Yeah, restudied it. I've restudied, Aaron. I've restudied about Jesus being the Son of God.
I restudied it, and the scriptures now speak to my heart that truly He is not.
You messed up already. You said you mispronounced spirit.
Yeah, right. The Spirit told me.
Yes.
The Spirit spoke to me. He gave me a nudge into. I was meditating.
That's right.
For hours. I mean, we're talking about 400 or 500 hours over a year's time.
That's it.
And the Spirit guided me.
I sat under a waterfall in my skivvies and let the water run over me. And as I was meditating,
you talk about hocus pocus, man. It's just, it's unbelievable.
All right. This for the next maybe 2 minutes. I'm just going to read this information that I have. I prepared this before, and then I just the reason I want to read this is I want you to know how big this is, and really and truly, this written link was probably the acorn into which this oak tree grew of deconstructing the faith. They didn't begin it. They're not the inception. The inception. Yeah, they're not the inception of this movement.
Yeah.
But look at how popular they are. And if your 13-year-old child knows about deconstructing Christianity, they learned it from Rhett and Link, probably.
Wow. A lot of influence.
Yes. I mean, just for crying out loud, 13.9 or 18. They almost have 20 million subscribers, Aaron.
Wish we had that many we could influence.
That's right. Now, Rhett and Link, the creators of Good Mythical Morning, publicly shared their deconstruction stories in 2020. That's why I say if your 13-year-old knows.
What year? 20 what? 13?
2020. Yeah.
2020.
If you're 13, I just math. I was like 2020. That was 20 years ago. No, it wasn't.
No.
It was
4 years ago.
Pray for me.
You're deconstructing, man.
I'm deconstructing.
Quit deconstructing. Just think.
Yeah. Oh, so look. Listen to what Greg. I'm gonna get Chris Crow's comment in just a minute. But wait a second. Chris Crow. Look at the name Jesus. No, it doesn't. That's dumb. Jesus is a translation of Joshua. That's all. But I'm deconstructing this comment. How do I do it? I don't know. Can you go to the Facebook while I'm reading this? It's probably on my Facebook page, but just tell me where that Facebook comment is. I don't want to block this guy. I don't mind him. I would love to talk about this more, and we may do a show on this. But I don't want that comment hanging out because it's just not true. It's on its face is false. Jesus' name does not mean yes in Pig Latin. It doesn't mean hail Zeus in Greek either. Baal equals the Lord. That's not true at all. All Protestants are apostate. That may be true. December 25th was the birthday of Baal. Who cares? The shepherd spent the night out in the field. Who cares? You still follow the Council of Nicaea. I don't.
Okay, it's on the Christianity Now page.
Okay. Would you delete the comment then? Just delete it. Don't block him or nothing. I just don't want that comment hanging out there because it's so false. But actually, before you delete, have you deleted it yet?
No.
Copy and paste it and send it to me in a text.
I screenshotted it.
Or screenshot it. But yeah, if you would, just delete the comment. And Chris, if you're listening, man, absolutely hang around and not on this show, but in subsequent shows, we'll deal with this. But what you're saying is just factually incorrect. Like there's not even there's no room to even budge on it. Jesus does not. Well, first off, Aaron, do you know what Pig Latin is?
It's where you say the words backwards or something.
Yes. So let me show you how fluent I am in Pig Latin. If I go and chase and lute open you up or some you can be on you I would get them like ordinary may arrive on fiance. I just read Greg James' comment.
You've been practicing, or you did?
No, I did. Yeah, I hadn't practiced in years, but yeah, me and a buddy of mine. We used to speak Pig Latin in high school, and that's all we did. Now listen to this. Hold on. This is the entertainment portion of the show before I read this about Rhett and Link.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Go ahead.
Me. I the ord leveth lay, and yes, be the acre, and ye the odd give, yeah, my outstation, be exalted, yea. I the ord leveth lay, and yes, be the acre, and the odd give, yeah, my outstation, be exalted, yea. I will keep you on ye the ord lay. Ooh, hey, is here the wooty base pray. Oh, say I shall be safe from my name, yea. He the Lord lay, and you just repeat the chorus.
What song is that?
The Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. All right, I'm done. But so anyway, I'm the expert in the room about Pig Latin. Jesus doesn't mean yes in Pig Latin. Rhett and Link, the creators of Good Mythical Morning, publicly shared their deconstruction stories in 2020 through the podcast Ear Biscuits, another podcast with a gajillion subscribers. Both had deep Christian roots, having served with CRU, formerly Campus Crusade for Christ. They led Bible studies, engaged in ministry, and worked during their younger years. Rhett's deconstruction began when he started questioning the scientific aspects of Christianity, especially issues like the age of the earth, evolution, and biblical inerrancy. Rhett's doubts expanded to include key theological concepts such as the resurrection of Christ and the existence of hell, which led him further away from Christ after his faith, or away from his Christian faith. Link's deconstruction was influenced by Rhett's journey. Is it important who you let your children hang around with and what you let them listen to?
Absolutely.
If I didn't have a verse in the Bible to back it up, the evidence alone ought to make it as authoritative as canon of Scripture.
Yeah.
Link's deconstruction was influenced by Rhett's journey, but it also had an emotional component, as he admitted to feeling detached during worship and lacking a personal connection to the faith. One of the key issues that contributed to their departure from Christianity was their disagreement with the Bible's sexual ethics, particularly surrounding LGBTQ+ issues. Their deconstruction story shocked many fans, particularly Christians, because they had previously been so strong as Christian influencers and role models. Rhett and Link now identify as agnostic, though they continue to share their stories publicly. I wish they'd shut up. Which was, I shouldn't say that.
Why are
because
they sharing it publicly?
I know if you've deconstructed it.
I don't get it. Why are they
if you've deconstructed the faith and left the faith, shut up and let other people enjoy their delusion.
Yeah, why keep,
Why do you care?
If it's a silly fairy tale like Santa Claus, then let it be. Why do you spend so much time talking about it?
I listened to a heathen, a person who extols the virtues of a hedonistic lifestyle. Even he said, this war against Christianity is so crazy. I want you to ask yourself one thing. If you think religion is so bad, you just went on a desert island. I mean, you just you're shipwrecked at sea, and you can swim a mile in one direction or a mile in the other, and there's an island at either mile. One island is full of people who follow what the Bible says, Judeo-Christian values. And the other is an island that is full of Muslims, we'll say. If you're a woman, which island are you going to swim to?
The Judeo-Christian.
If you're a homosexual, which island are you going to swim to?
Judeo-Christian.
If you're transgender, which island are you going to swim to?
Judeo-Christian.
If you believe that a woman can abort her child in the womb, which island are you swimming to?
Judeo-Christian.
If you believe that it's evil to say that God exists, which island are you swimming to?
Judeo-Christian.
Why in the world, if you deconstruct your faith, would you rob other people of theirs? If you've come to the conclusion that the faith is fake, don't take people off of that island and make them live on the other.
Yeah. These are the same people that are so tolerant.
Oh, I know.
And you can believe whatever you want to believe, but don't go to that Christian island. They'll force you to do what you don't want to do. They're controlling.
So let me finish the sentence here, because I didn't finish it. I'm the one that broke it off. I'm just going to reread it. Rhett and Link now identify as agnostic, though they continue to share their stories publicly, which has influenced many young Christians to question their own faith. Their story has caused a ripple effect among their audience, especially younger viewers, leading some to doubt their beliefs and explore deconstruction for themselves. Christian commentators have responded to Rhett and Link's deconstruction by cautioning believers not to base their faith on feelings or cultural trends, but to root their beliefs in the Word of God. Rhett and Link's journeys serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of abandoning biblical truth in favor of cultural acceptance and progressive values. Their deconstruction highlights the influence of modern cultural personalities and how easily faith can be shaped or reshaped by external societal pressure. Now, let me explain something to you. I'm going to make.
Now, is that from their website or?
No, this is me doing a research paper. I've got references to all this. I think there's 6 websites.
Yeah. Okay.
Involved here. So this information is an amalgam of 6 different websites.
You put stuff together, what you found. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is general, so I don't feel the need to cite anything. Just everything I found, you can find with Google.
Yeah.
So anyway. Good morning, Connie Barden. Were you on yesterday? I could not. No, Connie, I have started taking Mondays off. I stream, me and Aaron stream Tuesday, and then I go Wednesday through Friday. So I've just started taking Mondays off. I may, because I found myself to be a little bit depressed yesterday. I'm using that word. That word has taken on a whole new meaning in the modern age. I was having a little bit of a blue Monday because I didn't feel, I felt like I had no purpose.
Did you see John's comment?
And I was like, why don't I just do a live stream? And I was like, well, it's because I said I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But wait a second. Nobody's going to get mad if I said I wasn't and I do.
Yeah, you were told you can't do it. No.
I know. They'd get mad if I said I was and I didn't. So
I think it's neat that you don't do it. You take some time off. But sure,
that's right.
Did you say John's? I can see somebody clipping tongue speaking.
Oh, they'll do it.
Somebody's going to clip you.
I know it.
There's people out there that love taking like 10 seconds or 120 seconds out of a 1.5 hour podcast.
Yeah.
Tony said this. Aaron said this.
I know. Like little yapping chihuahuas nipping at my heels. I don't even pay them any mind.
Ankle
Who cares?
biters.
They can't do anything to me.
Jesus had a bunch of ankle biters.
Well, Jesus had a bunch of more ankle biters.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, right.
And people end up slaughtering him. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's people.
Good morning, Chris Olive. So anyway, it's just understand what's going on. Like this is you need to be on guard about this. I don't know. Aaron, I feel like I've way monopolized the time today.
No, I mean, you had the thrust of the show and everything. Yeah. I mean, you had the idea of this, and I'm just soaking it in. I mean, it's sad. You've already published an article on this, right?
Right.
And I looked at that, and the thing that comes to my mind is motives matter. Why are people questioning things? It's good to question. It's good to scrutinize. I mean, the Bible teaches us to test all things, but I think the deconstruction is usually what people, what's.
Let me interrupt you just for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm tongue in cheek just a little bit, but I want to bring this out. You forgot a phrase. Test all things. What's the next phrase?
Hold fast to what is good.
Don't deconstruct it.
Exactly.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
That's right. Test all things, hold fast to that which is good. And there's nothing wrong with questioning things. We need to question why we're doing what we're doing and why we believe what we believe, why we have the worldview that we do. And
right.
God never in his word just gave, God's never functioned off of silliness or no evidence or just what people call blind faith.
Absolutely.
He's always given his people sufficient reason and evidence that he's trustworthy and worthy to be followed. And if he knows everything about everything, then he chose to reveal that in 66 volumes, in 66 books, the library of books, the Bible. So it behooves us, it's necessary for us to get in there and study, and that means ask questions. Don't believe what you've always been taught if you grew up around the Church of Christ. Don't believe it because that's the way you grew up. Yeah. Jesus don't want people believing what they believe because that's the way they grew up. That's what mommy always said.
Well,
that's not what Jesus wants.
No.
He wants you to study the facts, study the truth. Believe
the other side of, yes. And the other, I'm so sorry. I was excited. Were you done?
No, I got it. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So the other side of that coin is don't deconstruct your faith out of hand just because it is the same as your parents.
Right. Just because that's the way you grew up. Or
Robert R. Taylor Jr. in a
that's the
lecture that I was listening to, he used that very phrase. He said, I will always be forever grateful for the faith bequeathed me by my parents.
Yeah.
Do you think Robert R. Taylor Jr. was a Christian just because his mom and dad were?
No,
he had his own faith.
You could tell how genuine his faith was.
I guarantee it.
I enjoyed my personal conversations with him, by the way. I didn't have a ton.
Right.
2 or 3 times I got to talk to him, just him. One time just a few, what year did he die? Do you remember?
Don't get me to lie. It was whenever we were in Bay.
I wonder if John would know. John has a high esteem for faithful gospel preachers. What year did Robert R. Taylor die, John Exum? Yeah. I was just curious. Anyhow, 1 year, not many years before he died, a friend and I got to go to supper with him and Miss Irene, just them.
Yeah.
And, one of the reasons we asked them to go, they didn't ask us. I mean, there was a lot of people at this event. Right. I don't even know how much he noted. 2022. Okay, yeah, a couple years ago. Okay. So this was about 5 or so, 6 years before he died.
Good grief. I thought he died when we were in Bay.
Yeah, I can. Mike could look it up online. I didn't mean to make a big, but a friend and I went with them. We invited them, and in our minds, it was number one. These are great folks. We've never got to spend time with them away from an event. Right. And I told my friend, I said, they ain't real young. They may not be alive many more years, and they weren't. And we took advantage of being around them. And my point is simply just to see their genuine faith. Do you think, like you said, do you think he just did and preached what he did because that's what he was taught? No, that would be judgmental for us to decide that about him. You could see, it was during the MSOP lectures. Okay, he said March of 23.
March 28, 2023. I just found it. I didn't doubt you.
Yeah,
I was doubting me.
Yeah, I didn't know. I couldn't remember.
I'd have bet $1 to 50 cents that he passed away whenever I was in Bay.
That right there, what he just said. He was scheduled to close out the lectures, but Cliff did it. Yeah, and I think Cliff's been doing it ever since then. Yeah. Anyhow, what you were saying that I got on, but don't dismiss it just because you were taught it. And here's what I think is probably the case sometimes, if not a lot of times. The people that get into this whole deconstruct and think it's so liberating, there's something or maybe multiple things about their childhood or the congregation where they grew up. Somebody mistreated them. They saw poor elderships. They saw people binding where God has not bound. There's a lot of different things like that. And the reason I know that is you read their books, you listen to their podcast, you listen to them for just a few minutes, and they're talking about how disgusted they are with individuals in the one church.
Yeah.
So just because you were raised that way, and just because there was things about the congregation, the humanity of the church, don't deconstruct. Don't go away from the truth. All of a sudden, because I was mistreated by this individual, this group of people within the church, I'm going to deconstruct. I'm going to go away from what I know are the fundamental truths. The deity of Jesus, the exclusivity of Jesus' church, scriptural worship, etc. Why? Why go away from that? Because you're dissatisfied, you're hurt, you're looking to justify something else.
Deconstruction of Christianity is forbidden in the scripture.
Yep.
Bet you didn't know that. Let's go.
Yeah, give it to me.
2 Timothy 3, starting in verse 14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. Now, he's not talking about himself only.
Yep.
He's talking about Lois and Eunice.
Yep. Whom he had already mentioned in the same letter.
Yes.
Chapter 1.
Timothy was supposed to continue in the things which he has learned. Timothy was not commanded to take the things at face value with no questions. But here's the thing. He said, remember from whom you learned them. Now, let me explain something. I say this all the time, and I hope it comes across the way it's intended. Whenever I went through Memphis School of Preaching, I learned things that I disagreed with in the moment, that I agree with now. I learned things that I agreed with in the moment that I disagree with now. When I study something and I find myself at odds with a thing that I learned back in school, I remember from whom I learned it. And I don't throw it away lightly. And it doesn't shake my faith, because I know this is a man that's been a faithful gospel preacher for decades.
Yep.
And
he's shown himself to be trustworthy and hardworking and honest for, many years.
And if I'm unbeknownst to him, I'm just saying, through my own studies, if I find myself at odds with something I learned from anybody, so say him, then the fact that I know him would cause me to be like, you know what? It could be that I'm wrong, that I'm missing something, because I trust this individual.
Yep.
That's what we should do.
Yep.
Chris Crow says, sorry, typo. I don't know.
Hey, that's the same guy that commented about Pig
I don't know where. I don't know what he was talking about on a typo. Anyway, so yeah, that's about all I'm gonna say. Just remember from whom you learned it.
Yep.
And that should count for something.
Yep.
I'll just throw Keith Moser's name out there. Keith Moser is not infallible.
Right.
Keith Moser is not infallible. But he's also not in the habit of teaching stuff that hasn't been tested.
Right.
Just remember that. And he also, if he's teaching because he loves the word, but he also loves souls, and that means he loves you. So he's got your best interest in mind when he teaches.
In the next phrase,
remember that.
In the next phrase, Tony, what would he be? What's the purpose of this, do you think, in the 2 Timothy 3:15? And that from childhood you have known the Holy. Why did he
trust yourself?
Childhood. Trust yourself. Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Trust what you know you've learned. That kind of thing.
It's akin to what the preacher says in Ecclesiastes. Remember thy Creator in the days of thy youth.
Yeah.
Like there's a false. I have trouble remembering what the false interpretation is that I held for so many years, and the right interpretation. But there's an interpretation of that I held that I believed went along the lines of, when you're old, think fondly and remember the Creator, and remember how you viewed the Creator in the days of your youth, so you'll have comfort when your teeth fall out and your hair goes away. But I don't think that's right. I think what Ecclesiastes is saying to young people, like, if I'm talking to children who are, let's say 15, 16, 17 years old, and I'm old, I would be telling the young people, you need to remember your Creator, like now. Think of Him now in the days of your youth.
Before
don't waste your life.
Days come. Yeah.
But I always use that because it makes me remember. Whenever you come up out of the watery grave of baptism, you're convicted more then than you ever probably will be in your life. I don't know. At least I was really convicted. And the way I was in the subsequent weeks after my baptism, sometimes I think about that. And it helps me get back in alignment now.
Yeah.
Now, please understand, I don't believe that's the proper interpretation of what the preacher says in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
It's just a mark for me to remember.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the next line in that thing would be, trust yourself. You've been learning this all your life.
Yeah. That means that Timothy had been convicted of it when he was younger than when Paul wrote that to him.
Yes, absolutely.
He was younger. Yeah. Trust it. Trust what you've already been convinced of.
That's it. All right, Aaron, I didn't know. We're going to try to wing this a little bit. There is a 5-minute and 43-second video where Rhett and Link discuss why they left Christianity. Aaron, I've never heard this. Now, for those of you listening, it is from Howie Mandel. With Rhett and Link and their brand, I don't see that there being any profanity in this clip. I'm going to play the clip having not watched it. Yeah. If there's profanity in this clip, I apologize in advance. If it's too bad, we're going to, and when I say too bad, I mean it don't have to be very bad at all. We're going to shut it off and not watch the clip. I got to do the share screen. Hold on. Share screen, Rhett and Link. But it's awesome because now I know that that you can hear it. Let me do the full screen so you can see it, and then I'm going to take the chat overlay off of the screen for a moment. Why are we? Do I have any internet? What's going on? Why is it just flopping?
Something's messed up.
Yeah.
He kind of spearheaded this. He kind of spearheaded this. The questions and the quest of, okay, I'm not satisfied with some answers I'm getting. I was his sounding board for his spiritual deconstruction, and so I think that I was,
what a good friend.
Just kind of along for the ride, honestly, because my brain doesn't work in the same way. I was much more comfortable because I thought it was working for me. I thought that how I conducted my faith was more helpful than harmful. Actually, now I've started to realize over the past decade that there were a lot of things that were healthy for me to shed in terms of judgment and shame and how I processed that. But as a sounding board, I was pretty much just kind of like a step or two behind him in terms of my evolving beliefs.
Because as we said, you're the questioning personally, the decision to make a change in a direction of thought and how you operate your life is a real personal thing. That could have been a huge wedge and maybe end of this partnership.
Well, and it's...
Aaron, are you there?
Yep.
Did you notice that last line from Howie Mandel?
No, I didn't. It's like I missed it.
This could have been a huge wedge. So remember, the guy on the right, I can't remember who, Rhett and Link. I can't keep them apart. But the guy on the right said that the other guy was a sounding board.
Yeah.
And talked about how he was able to talk and go through it. And he said, I figured out there was stuff that I needed to shed about shame and stuff like that. But then when Howie Mandel got back on screen, he's like, yeah, and, that could have been a big wedge between the two of you that could have affected the show. That lets you know, there's some motivations here.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that this dude deconstructed just because he did, so they could keep making money on a show. But that couldn't have had zero influence.
Certainly, that would be part of the motive.
That's right. Now I'll go back and play it a little bit more.
Part of our,
it started with the first person I kind of confided in was my wife, and I've seen this so many times. It's very unusual for a married couple that are both in a particular faith and one person says adios. Most of the time, those end in divorce.
Right.
That's a pretty good piece of knowledge to put away. Yep. I believe him.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I told her, listen, we didn't believe that evolution happened. We believed that Adam and Eve were real. We believed that what is in the book of Genesis was like history.
That's got to be Rhett then, because Rhett is the one that started questioning because of the Genesis and stuff like that.
Okay.
And you remember, like this girl that wrote this book that spoke at Harding. Her big deal, it's about Genesis and how theistic evolution explains. Anyway.
And so
was there a moment where this came, where you had a flash and you went, wait?
It was like I started reading about this in my early 20s, but mostly what I would do is I would go and I would be like, okay, there's all these people saying that the Earth is, 10,000 years old, but like every time I go to a museum, they're like, this thing lived millions of years ago. I never looked into this, but I started reading about it, and actually I started reading.
Science is more authoritative than the Bible.
Yeah,
that was his problem. He, if you go into the museum and you just take everything at face value without doing any research, like you go on one side of the museum, you've got a display of a river bank that this river has cut into the landscape, and the display says that it took this river, these layers of soil are, 1 billion years old. I'm just making up numbers. Well, how do you know that this layer of soil is 1 billion years old? Because we found this fossil in this soil, and this fossil is from the time period 1 billion years ago. Then you walk over to the other side of the museum, and they say, look at this fossil. This fossil is 1 billion years old. And then they'll say, the reason we know it's 1 billion years old is because we took it from this layer of dirt.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Ken Ham did the best job I've ever seen with this on the Creation Museum. He says every person is looking at the same information.
Right.
It's conclusions that are drawn that are different.
Yeah, why do you believe that the radioactive dating of that, because the strata and the rock that it's in, because it's something with the rocks and the moon, and why do you believe? Well,
and there's too much that it doesn't explain.
Presumption. They're automatically presuming that these rocks and this strata is so many years old, and there's no way it can be any different.
And you can carbon date things that are modern, and they will carbon date test as if they're multiplied thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of years old.
I think even in our lifetime, years ago, didn't they used to say that, when I say they, didn't scientists who were unbelievers, non-believers, readily admit that radioactive dating, I'm say readily admit, didn't they used to say, they may not now, that they believed that radioactive dating was active, or relatively or certainly accurate, whatever, for up to like 200,000 years, 250,000 years. So there's so much revisionist type stuff these days. They go back and change, but it seems like they used to say that was something in the public schools. I remember growing up. I don't ever remember growing up hearing or being taught in school that the radioactive dating was accurate for 20 billion years. Or
it's not accurate at all.
No, it's not.
Because it assumes that it's always had the same rate of decay.
Exactly. But didn't they even used to acknowledge, that was something that was, they didn't hide, they used to not hide that. The radioactive dating is like 250,000 years. But
no, it's not even that. It's not accurate at all.
No, but I'm saying, didn't they used to say that? The scientists.
Yeah.
So
they still do.
But yet they're purporting that it's accurate for millions of years and billions of years now.
No, Aaron, it's not accurate at all for any amount of time.
Do they acknowledge that now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But they still use it.
That's what doesn't make sense about it.
It's an arbitrary measurement that means nothing. It's like horsepower.
Yeah.
Horsepower, the term horsepower was coined because the fella that invented the steam engine tried to sell it to miners. And on if you're working, like 2 horses could haul coal out of a mine, and that those horses worked all day. Well, however many horses it took to work 24 hours, the steam engine replaced that. So if your mining operation used, if you were a big mining operation and you used 25 horses or if you used 24 horses in a 24-hour period, so you got a bigger steam engine that could move as much coal as that steam engine was 24 horsepower.
Yeah.
It's an arbitrary measurement.
Yeah.
Carbon dating is an arbitrary measurement. We don't know how much carbon that was started with. We don't know how much radioactivity was started with. We don't know if it's had the same rate of decay over time. There's too many variables.
But they've been telling people for whatever 50 years, and everybody just, I say everybody, seemingly everybody just accepts that this is science, you know.
Yeah.
This has been observed and proved that this is a way to do it, you know, and this is the way everything's dated accurately.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm going to get back to this other screen.
Yeah, I've never believed that radioactive
No.
dating was 250,000. I'm just saying that I thought I recall that that's what they used to claim. But yeah,
No, it was claimed to be accurate within a couple 100,000 years.
Yeah.
Like if you radioactive carbon whatever tested, and we may be bleeding two different tests together, but both of those tests, if they're two different tests, they suffer from the same weaknesses.
Yeah.
It assumes that whatever they're testing, that there's been a constant rate of decay, and it assumes that you knew how much was there when it started.
Basically, the underlying thing, their false idea of uniformitarianism is the problem.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, go ahead.
Carbon dating a turtle.
Yeah, that all things have stayed the same from the very beginning is the uniformitarianism.
Right. Carbon dating 14, inaccurate on shell. Yeah, here we go. As pointed out throughout this website, each dating method has its limitations, assumptions, and variables. As it turns out, carbon-14 dating on shells has been found to be completely unreliable, even found dating a living mollusk as being thousands of years old. The error is due to the unique chemical reactions that add dead carbon into younger samples, which give false older ages. Despite these known errors, textbooks ignore it, perhaps partly because such old ages tell the story of evolution and eons of time. And there's carbon-14 dating. Here's all the problems with it. It's a pretty good little website. This mammoth, the carbon-dated mammoth, was carbon-dated on one part. This big snail. Of course, you can't see it, but no, this mammoth, this woolly mammoth, this picture. Mammoth was carbon-dated one part 29,500 and the other 44,000 on the same animal.
So basically, they just hide it now. They're not really. They just
don't say anything about it.
You're right.
Yeah, they'll admit it if you ask them.
Yeah, it's been acknowledged. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's watch some of more of this video. What time is it? Oh, it's time for you to go.
Just about couple more minutes. Let me hop off.
Okay.
I got a lunch appointment, and I just got a message about a potential baptism. So I'm gonna.
Oh well. Do you need to go right now?
I don't think so, but just a couple more minutes, and then I'll come.
Right.
I'll come.
All right. If you give the Irish goodbye, I'll know what's up.
Yeah, the whole thing with the baptism might not be for a little while. I'm not sure, but I'm going to be available any moment. You know. So.
Okay.
Reading from I would go to Christian sources, right? And there's a lot of Christians who don't believe that. There's a lot of Christians who believe in evolution, right? There's a lot of Christians who believe that the world is old or whatever and kind of accept the established science. And so I would
accept established science.
Yeah.
Slowly read these sources and kind of my view was changing. But then when it was like, I don't know how to reconcile this particular thing about, well, if we have this common ancestor with chimpanzees and apes and Adam and Eve, how do you explain that?
All of the assumptions. Yeah. That's the thing. It doesn't. It's not real research. It's not real deconstruction.
No.
If it were real deconstruction, I would that everyone would deconstruct their faith.
Yeah.
But it's not real deconstruction.
No, it's not.
I would start asking these questions, and then I would go to my pastor, go to these other people. I would ask them questions, and I didn't get satisfactory answers. And then it just was like a house of.
I didn't. Yeah, I heard you. I wish there was a way to put some kind of gated compressor or something like that on this, where if one of us speaks while it's talking, it would lower the volume of the video.
That'd be cool. Yeah. That's it though. He didn't get the satisfactory answers he was looking for. Yeah.
Did you see the contempt on his face whenever he said talking about Christians who did not believe, that believed in evolution.
Yeah.
Like didn't believe, and then I think he was going to say didn't believe all of this stuff in the Bible. And he was probably going to put a pejorative in it, but his face twisted for just a brief moment in disgust.
Yeah.
And contempt.
Yeah.
Cards that was slowly falling until I remember writing in my journal. I was journaling at the time. I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't believe any of this stuff anymore, right? But all along the way, I would like when I told my wife that I thought evolution had happened, she burst into tears. I just want to give you an idea of where we come from and the worldview that we were all sort of held captive to. And so, but the funny thing,
held captive to, like it's just, I don't. If you're gonna question your faith, you're gonna deconstruct your faith. You need to do it in good faith.
Yeah.
And with the intentions of reconstructing it. But do it with the idea of test all things, hold fast to that which is good, remember what you have learned and from whom you've learned it.
Yeah. It's a lot of assumptions here, and it's kind of like the false ideas of, I don't believe in Christianity because look at all the Christians that killed people back in the Holy War. So that's about right. That was Catholicism. You know, what about he's using these different things that are not exact. They're missing the mark of the truth of Scripture.
Yep.
But yeah, he thinks, science has proven these, these physical.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right, I'm going to skip forward, and I'm curious as to what they're saying here. I can scrub through this a little bit. All right, bear with me.
I mean, it's like it just kept coming, and I did start reading. It just kept coming out of your system, I think is what I thought at first. Like there was a lot at stake in trying to. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be here for you, and I'm gonna lovingly listen and respond and be a sounding board. But what I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna try to like say, yeah, but let's just kind of tamp all this down. Get it out of your system. I think is what I thought at first. And
so what was the switch where you went, yeah?
I mean, it was just the preponderance of it. It just kept coming. I mean,
he was going to say the preponderance of evidence.
Yeah.
I don't believe him. I don't believe it was the preponderance. I don't believe that the decision that this man made was evidentiary.
No.
I hope I'm using that word correctly. I don't believe it was based on evidence. I believe it was based on love and emotion and feeling for his good friend, and to a much lesser extent, but not zero, money. I mean, if this comes between them and it messes with the show.
Preponderance of evidence is the idea that the evidence presented in a case is more convincing than the opposing evidence.
Right.
It's like, but there's so much evidence. See, that's the thing. People they have this false dichotomy, binary, I guess. They think that it's either the Bible or science. No, the God that wrote the Bible created the rocks and the dirt and the gases. Like there's plenty of time and use for honest observation and theories, like there's so much good stuff available out there, good materials that show, how we can properly interpret the physical, evidence of the universe and the earth, etc. It's just so much good stuff out there. Maybe
Absolutely.
More than ever available because of technology.
Absolutely. And I'm putting those comments on the screen so folks can read. They're very good comments. We're just really pressed up against time.
Yeah.
Aaron,
I'm gonna hop off. If I don't, I'll keep going. Right. I'm gonna hop off. I hate to hop off, but
if you're hopping off, I'm gonna finish the rest of this. And thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate
I'll holler at you later today.
I've enjoyed this. This is good, and I hate I'm gonna not finish it up, but just.
It'll be all right.
Appreciate everybody, and thank you for your support. And I'm gonna hop on off of here.
All right, love you, brother. See, I hope it goes well with the fellow that wants to obey the gospel.
Yes,
or gal.
It's a one of our members' daughters who's definitely of age now. So
That's
it's
awesome.
Exciting. She hasn't been here in a while, and she messaged my wife saying she wants to be baptized. And Lindsay said, "Yeah, just as soon as you're ready, anytime." So
Good.
We'll see.
That's amazing. Praise God.
Yep. We'll see you, bro.
All right, see you, dude. All right, I'm going to get back to this here vidya, and we'll just let her play a little bit. And the reason I try to interrupt from time to time is because Facebook will, especially now that we're growing a little bit, YouTube looks closer at us. And I don't want to get a copyright strike. This is fair use. It's commentary. We're changing it. We're not just stealing it and letting it play. So
anywhere you look, I mean, it's like it just kept coming. And I did start reading other people's accounts of deconstruction and their reasoning, and
was your wife also?
A lot of that resonated.
Did they have this? Did she have the same?
She was yes, because
notice he started reading other people's stuff, other people's testimony of deconstruction. What do you think's going to happen with that? And I'll put the chat back up on the screen in a minute.
Because we believed that it would split us up.
Yeah.
That like the biblical teaching that we adhered to was, okay, you're not going to stay together.
You can't do this without Jesus.
You're not,
basically,
Jesus is holding you together anyway. So.
Wow. Okay. Let me get the chat back on the screen. Oh, okay, well there's one. I was going to say, when you move the chat off the screen, it loses all of its. Okay. Well, we're here. Well, folks, we've talked about deconstruction of Christianity today. I hope something was said that informs you and you're better equipped to talk to people about it, and you're a little bit more equipped with the vernacular, with the vocabulary. You know, we have to use the same lexicon as the people of the world. Using the dictionary they use is important too. Lexicon is just a list of words and how they're used in different scenarios. Dictionaries are a list of words and how they're translated. I don't know. Let me do this. I'm discombobulated to the point I can't think. All right. But a dictionary and a lexicon both serve to define words, but they differ in scope and purpose. A dictionary provides definitions, pronunciations, grammatical information, and sometimes usage examples for words in a given language. Like English, it's typically designed for general use by speakers of a language. For example, the English dictionary will define words in English aimed at helping people understand the word meanings, proper spellings, and sometimes their etymology. A lexicon is more specialized, that often focused on a particular body of work, language, or subject. For instance, a Greek lexicon. It may refer to a collection of words related to a specific language, such as a biblical lexicon, which provides meaning of original Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek words. And Bible lexicons focus on more explaining their original meaning and context of words in ancient or specialized text. So in summation, a dictionary serves as a general reference for everyday language use. A lexicon is often a scholarly tool that provides deeper insights into the vocabulary of a specific text or languages, especially ancient or specialized ones like biblical classical texts. So, the world uses our lexicon. It does not use our dictionary. We need to define these terms the way they define their terms, or at least understand. And we don't have to define terms the way they do. Like, for instance, inspiration. What is the definition of inspiration as Webster defines it? So, come on. Merriam-Webster. Inspiration, an inspiring agent or influence. Well, then I need to. No, that's it. Webster, why did you can't. All right. The quality of being inspired. I know what I need to do. Inspire. You got to get the root word. Inspire, to spur on, to impel, to motivate, to affect, to bring about occasion, to draw forth, to bring out, to breathe, or to blow into or upon. That's an archaic, and it's only added for scholarly reasons here. So most people, like, oh, I was inspired to write this beautiful poem because of this tree. So the world, like we say the Bible's inspired. Well, the world can say, yeah, I believe the Bible's inspired, and they can still deconstruct their Christianity, because when they say inspired, they use inspired differently. They say that inspired is, these wise men, by looking at what was going on around them, were inspired by their surroundings to write this book. Well, sadly, that's not how it happens. But anyway, the point of the matter is this. If we don't keep a pulse, if we don't keep a finger on the pulse of our society, then we're going to lose. We'll lose our loved ones. Whenever I understood about Rhett and Link and their deconstruction of Christianity, I talked to both Anthony and Abigail about it, because both Anthony and Abigail watch Rhett and Link Good Mythical Morning. I will watch Rhett and Link Good Mythical Morning for entertainment from time to time. It's entertaining, but you need to know. You need to know what's going on out there. I want to go back and cover just a little bit, since we're not pressed up against the time, the deadline as much as we were. Gaslighted by God is the book by Tiffany Brooks. I don't know how to say that last name. That is the book that is a textbook at Harding. I was mistaken. I misspoke. I was mistaken. But where is the lady who spoke at Harding is not the one that teaches the theistic evolution. She is the one who advocates regarding religious trauma, abuse, legalism, etc. It was Walton that adheres to theistic evolution. Well, hold on a second. Gaslighted by God. John, help me out here. Gaslighted by God is the lady that spoke at Harding. No, Gaslighted by God is the theistic evolution textbook for Genesis. And then the other was a woman that spoke in chapel, and she wrote a book about deconstructing her Christianity. Can you make sure I'm right for that? Oh, okay. Yeah. Gaslighted by God. There's a couple of excerpts here. Brandon Myers. Have I read Walton? Walton. I don't think so. Who is Walton? Right here. I thought I saw Walton. Oh, it was Walton that adheres to theistic evolution. Okay, no, I haven't. I plan on it. Now I got Walton is the theistic evolution textbook. This Tiffany is the girl who spoke at Harding. The Lost World of Genesis 1 by John Walton, Theistic Evolution. That is the book at Harding. The Deconstruction of Christianity book is Gaslighted by God, a book by Tiffany Brooks. Okay. I require a lot of grace when folks listen to me. I don't know why I had that messed up in my head so bad. But anyway, that's the deal. My suggestion for everyone who has children or has any influence over, young people that are particularly vulnerable to this kind of stuff. You read these books. I know it's a sacrifice, but you read these books and you be prepared to talk about it with them. I talked about Rhett and Link on Good Mythical Morning with Anthony and Abigail, and we just kind of headed that off at the pass. They're in the world, not of the world. I didn't say, they couldn't watch. I didn't try to prohibit them from watching the show, because everybody watches television that is not produced, and it's not produced by Christians, and it's not even Christian content. It's just good entertainment, like the television show Friends, which is much, looking back now, Friends was a terrible show, and it contributed to the moral degradation of our society. Probably it moved into the mainstream culture. It added an extra step in Western culture's courting process. So in Western culture's courting process, a girl drew the attention of some suitors. The suitors would go and court her. They would take her on carriage rides and stuff like that, and they'd go to the barn dance, or they'd go sit in the court where everybody could see, and maybe that's where the phrase stealing a kiss comes in. They weren't even supposed to kiss before they was married, but everybody knew that them young'uns out there in the court, they going to steal a kiss. It's innocent. They're not going to do anything more, because every window in the court could hold an adult with a gun. I'm being a little facetious, but it wasn't out of the normal for suitors who were overly ambitious to be run off at threat of damage to themselves. But as that progressed, then when the advent of the automobile, now you ask a girl out on a date. You go out to a dinner and a movie or whatever, and you date for a while, then you become engaged, then you get married. Well, there's an extra step in the process now. I believe it's mainstream because of the sitcom Friends back in the day, because living together has now become, even in the Lord's church, I see it's not, it's just not dealt with very much. It's just kind of assumed that young people, whenever they move out of their house, and when they're dating, when it comes time, they're just going to move in together, and then they'll eventually be married or get engaged and get married. All of that is part of this deconstruction of Christianity. So watch your entertainment, understand, but just be honest with what you're watching, and extrapolate from, go back to the 1980s with Cheers. I think very early in the first season, there was an episode of Cheers where one of Sam Malone's professional baseball buddies wrote a book. And he said, "Sam, I want you to endorse my book." And Sam didn't read the book, but he endorsed it. And it turns out in the book, his buddy come out as gay. And it was a big deal. And it was all about how this guy was accepting, how Sam was grossed out about it at first. Got it? This machismo, ultra manly ladies man, philanderer, Hollywood stylized man, manly man. His buddy was gay, but he was grossed out by it, and he was accepting of it by the end of the sitcom. That was in the 1980s, folks. Understand how this works. But anyway, we have to be vigilant. We have to be sober, be vigilant, because our adversary, the devil, walks around as a raging lion, seeking whom he may devour. That's the point. We have to arm ourselves with knowledge, and we have to speak about these things, teach our young people, and we need to work hard not to lose the next generation. Paul told Timothy, "That which thou hast learned of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who are able to teach others also." And the word there is anthropos. Paul's talking about mankind, men and women. The word people could be used because the gender is unimportant. It's human beings, mankind. That's a person. It's an anthropos. There's 4 generations elucidated in that little bitty old verse. that which thou hast learned of me. All right. So you've got Paul. Timothy learned it. He's to teach it to faithful men or faithful people who are able to teach others also. There's your 4. We have to be vigilant. We have to learn how people use these terms. Actually, they use our lexicon, but they don't use they use our lexicon, but they don't use our definition. They use the same words that we use, but they don't define them the same way. Train up your children. Safeguard yourself. That's all I've got, folks. So thankful for all of the comments. Remember, man, we're on our way to, I don't even know what the next goal is we need to set, but we're on our way to it. I think this time next year we'll probably be setting with 10,000 subscribers. That's because of you. We are eternally grateful. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to go to the, I'm going to go bring the overlay up. Please go to Substack. I had to take a break from narrating my articles. The articles are narrated, or the articles that I've begun that again today. I released the article about deconstructing Christianity on Substack this morning, and you can find it on Substack if you just go search Christianity Now. I just put the link to the website about evolution is a myth, about carbon dating methods and problems with carbon-14 dating and others. That's in the comment section now, so you can use that as a resource. Let me go to Christianity Now Substack, and let me. I'm going to ask a favor of everyone listening. Everyone listening, could you, let me share this link. I'm going to put a link to the podcast episode of Deconstructing Christianity. Would you go to Spotify or Apple Podcast and subscribe to Christianity Now Narrations? Christianity Now Narrations. Leave a 5-star review. Listen, let it play in the background. But if you can use the link right there to go to Substack. Anyway, folks, that's all we've got here. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much. And this has been Tony Brewer and Aaron Dodson with Christianity Now. And if you go to Christianity Now Narrations, you can subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any videos from us. We go live Tuesday through Friday, or we have a live show Tuesday through Friday. It's Aaron and I on Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's me. And we are planning on doing some stuff on Mondays, but I have decided to take Monday as a day off from live streaming, just for my own personal mental health. But that's all we've got, folks. Thank you so much. Be sure and follow us on Twitter at First Chronicles 1232, at First Chronicles 1232, Christianity Now 1 Chronicles 1232. You can also support us by sending us a PayPal. You can do Patreon at $1 a month, www.patreon.com/Christianity Now, or you can subscribe at Substack for $5 a month. But the main thing we would love for you to do, besides listening and interact and with listening to the content, is interact with it, share it on your social media, and leave us a review on the podcast channel, Christianity Now Streams. I did not realize how big that podcast had gotten. It's getting, I look back at the analytics. We're averaging 40 downloads per episode. That is crazy to me. 40 downloads per episode. So when I look at this, I'm looking at average downloads for the past 30 days. That is crazy. I did not realize how big this got. We're getting 8,000 downloads a month on this podcast. I didn't realize that. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not getting 8,000 downloads a month. We're getting around 2,000 downloads a month. I was looking at the wrong part of the graph. We're getting about 2,000 downloads a month. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. Christianity Now streams on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Substack. Go subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, share it on your social media, and invite your friends. That's all we've got, folks. God bless every one of you. This has been Tony Brewer with Christianity Now, along with his good friend and host Aaron Dodson, and we'll catch you